I think as far as the biggest thing I gleaned from this game, of course, the 23-point field goals made is a record for for Iowa. But I wouldn't expect that for any game for this team, because this team is not necessarily what I think of as a great three-point shooting team, although it's early. We're just kind of, I guess, hypothesizing here. Is this surprising that they've had a couple? I think of the first game against Longwood, they shot the three really well. They're showing the ability to be able to shoot collectively at a good level from behind the arc. What do you see from Iowa shooters?
Well, they're building a pretty good resume in terms of how they're shooting the ball. And tonight, you don't know all their strategy. Obviously, they stayed in that 2-3 zone. They didn't come out of it. It wasn't very active, wasn't very aggressive. So they got a lot of open looks and got on a roll. And that's the worry you have if you let 3-point shooters get comfortable. And they did. They got comfortable. And I think all their threes were in the framework of the offense. They didn't force anything. That's good. They had a lot of assists. I think it was 20. I'm looking right here. 28 assists on 38 baskets. So that means you're moving the ball. It's the second game that we've done where their assist to turnover ratio is really high. They only had 10 turnovers, scoring 108 points. Now they did play a pretty soft zone without much pressure. So, forcing turnovers might not be as strong in a situation like that, but they handle the ball well. They move the ball well. They got good open looks and they made them. So I'm sure the defense is going to get better, and that's going to be the real test when the defense gets a little tighter and the shots are not so wide open.
And Coach, before the Iowa game, we were live with Frank Henderson, who actually played at Ball State under Billy Taylor, is also Tony Perkins' uncle. So sort of an interesting connection there. And I will say this, and I'm not trying to suck up to Frank, but Tony Perkins is really emerging. He seems to be playing with a much greater level of confidence than we saw maybe the first couple of games, and certainly the last game out against North Carolina Central. Iowa was struggling a bit to put that team away, and really sort of had a jolt of energy for that team defensively, and he's long. Is Tony emerging to you? Do you see the same thing I do?
Yeah, and I think you saw a little bit last year towards the end of the year. He played some good quality minutes and gave him some production off the bench. So, the more depth that they can develop, the stronger they're going to be, because you're going to have foul trouble. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys that are not playing well. And so if somebody like him can come off the bench and give him a boost, that's obviously to your advantage. So it's good to see.
And he's shown the ability to knock down the three, which is not something that I really expected. Of course, he's not a three-point shooter. He is more of a slasher. And we're seeing now Fran really try to implement this press, which, of course, Fran's always had that in his defensive playbook, if you will. But I think with their length and athleticism, these Murray twins, their ability to just implement their length and their athleticism. Yeah. Chris really looked good tonight, Gary. That's been my one bugaboo about either of the Murray twins, is I feel like Chris just still doesn't play with a great level of confidence. Maybe I'm reading into his game too much, and maybe I'm wanting him to look like his brother, and I shouldn't. His three ball is really starting to take shape, and we saw that at DME Academy, him shoot the ball at a really high level. What have you seen from Chris?
Well, I think he's a young player. He didn't get a chance to play a whole lot last year, so if you're not playing, it's hard to get confidence. You gotta get out on the court and produce, and that's where the confidence comes, along with working hard and knowing you put the time in to improve. Which sounds like both of them have no problem doing that. So it's nice to see. I think you just kind of expect, hopefully, it'll continue to improve and make solid progress. And again, like the Perkins kid, that gives you another guy off the bench that can give you something, give you some production, which is nice to see too.
Let me pull up Peyton Sanfort's numbers. I see a couple comments in our chat about his performance tonight. He does have a pretty stroke.
He does,
Gary, and it's a quick release, and that's sometimes you don't always see that right away from college players. Am I wrong?
And he's not afraid to shoot it, and especially being a freshman, being a young player, first time out. He's got a lot of confidence and puts it up, and And yeah, he's been really, really good off the bench, and tonight was no exception. He did a great job.
12 attempts. 12 attempts from three. So you're absolutely right. Not afraid to shoot it. And I've said from the beginning of the season, preseason, I said, to me, the biggest keys for this team are, do they have 2 or 3 really good 3-point shooters? They obviously have one in Jordan. If Fort can be that second 3-point shooter, I just think that spaces everything up so much more, Gary. And again, not that other guys can't hit threes, but let's be honest, the only pure 3-point shooters on this team are probably Peyton and Jordan.
Well, I think you got to put Keegan in there now. I don't think there's any doubt that it's maybe it's a little bit early, but so far he has shown he's able to do it as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as it goes along if they can continue that. Obviously, this is an incredible percentage, but something close to it will certainly help their cause.
Real Hayden says Sanford's stroke has me salivating. It's a pretty shot. I'll tell you what makes me salivate, Gary. And this is, I don't normally salivate over free throw strokes, but as much as we love Jordan Bohannon from the free throw line, Keegan Murray has got a beautiful stroke, does he not?
And he needs one because he's probably going to lead the team in free throws attempted, I'm guessing, because he'll get some inside looks and his ability to drive. So when he gets fouled, he's got to step up and make them. And so far he's been doing that.
So Keegan tonight, 10 of 16 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. And again, he did all that in 21 minutes. Mm-hmm. Jordan Bohannon, 4 of 8 from 3. Of course, he struggled Tuesday. I have to imagine that was largely in part to the fact that he was on the verge of breaking the all-time Big Ten record.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment to reflect on what he's done. I know it was inevitable that Jordan would break the record. And I know it was in an extended career, Gary. So there's going to be
not by much, just a few games. And
right.
Obviously the COVID season was not as long as maybe it would have been regularly. So anytime you are a leader in a league like the Big Ten, a career leader, you've done something impressive. I don't care what it is. And 3-point shooting is obviously one, but to be the #1 3-point shooter in the history of this league and all the great players that have played in it is quite an accomplishment that he should be very proud of, as should the program.
Chris Kingsbury is obviously the first guy that comes to mind for Iowa fans when they think of elite 3-point shooters. You've obviously seen so many, whether you coach them or you coach against them in the Big Ten. Where does Jordan stack as far as all-time shooters in the Big Ten?
Right where he is as far as making them all. He's as good as there have been. He's confident. He'll take big shots. He'll make big shots. He doesn't shy away from the moment. Obviously, he's got a great stroke, a consistent stroke. He's one of the all-time best. And I think fans got to understand how hard he's worked on that. You just don't – you're not a shooter like that unless you put a lot of time in it and taking a lot of shots in an empty gym. And I know he has, and it's paying off big time.